The world has gone quiet. Too quiet. The silver screens that once shimmered with her laughter now flicker in mourning. At 79, Dianne Keaton, the heartbeat of Hollywood, is gone. And with her, a piece of cinema's soul. But what happened next left everyone stunned. As her family prepared for a private farewell in California, the world watched from a distance. No red carpets, no flashing cameras, only love, silence, and tears. And then, one voice broke that silence. Goldie Hawn, her lifelong friend and co-star, stepped forward, and what she said left millions breathless. Her words weren't just a tribute, they were an earthquake of emotion. A moment so raw and powerful that even the toughest hearts couldn't hold back their tears. This wasn't just Hollywood mourning a legend. This was the world saying goodbye to a woman who turned pain into poetry and silence into art. This is the story of Dianne Keaton's final goodbye. But before the applause, before the fame and the legacy, there was a girl learning to survive silence. Dianne Keaton's story began not in noise, but in stillness. A silence so deep it shaped her bones and shadowed her dreams. She was born on January 5, 1946, in Los Angeles, California, under the golden skies of a city obsessed with perfection. Her father, Jack Hall, was a man of order who believed love was expressed through rules. Her mother, Dorothy Dianne Keaton, once crowned Mrs. Los Angeles 1955, had her own dreams of the stage, but they slowly faded into domestic quiet. In the Hall household, grace was said before dinner, but emotions stayed locked behind polite smiles. Laughter was reserved for guests, never for grief. "I grew up in a family that didn't talk about feelings," Dianne Keaton once confessed. "We simply lived inside them." That truth would become the very heartbeat of her art, her lifelong attempt to turn everything unspoken into something unforgettable. As a child, Dianne watched her mother, Dorothy Dianne Keaton, once radiant with dreams, fade into quiet surrender. The applause that had once filled their home was replaced by the soft clatter of dishes and the rhythm of duty. "My mother's life was a warning, not a map," Dianne later wrote, and that realization became her prophecy. While other girls dreamed of safety behind white fences, Dianne dreamed of escape, a script, a stage, a light bright enough to finally see her. Teachers called her difficult, classmates called her strange, but Dianne wasn't lost. She was rebelling against generations of silence. Her salvation came under the heat of a trembling spotlight. Playing Blanche Dubois in a school play, she trembled too, but for the first time, it was from truth, not fear. "That was the first time I felt seen," she said years later. Acting wasn't performance. It was survival. In 1966, at just 20, Dianne packed her mother's broken dreams into one worn suitcase and took a bus to New York City. She dropped her father's last name, Hall, and adopted her mother's, Keaton. "Every time they say Miss Keaton," she whispered, "they're saying my mother's name." Her apartment on the Upper West Side was tiny and cracked, its radiator coughing more than heating. Dinner was half a slice of bread and tea. She was terrified, but she stayed. "I was afraid all the time," she said, "but fear became my engine." That fear carried her through hunger, rejection, and bitter winters until 1968, when she auditioned for Hair. Barefoot, trembling, hungry, but alive, she performed, and the director said, "Don't change a thing." That night, the silence of her life broke. "I built myself out of fear," she said. It wasn't a metaphor, it was anatomy. In 1981 came Reds, directed by Warren Beatty, a film that demanded everything from Dianne Keaton, and she gave it all. Critics hailed her as fearless, but inside she felt hollow, emptied by the fire she had poured into every frame. When the applause faded, the silence returned. By the mid-1980s, her career faced a quiet collapse. The films faltered, the reviews cooled, and Hollywood moved on to newer faces. "Everyone thought I was still on top," she once admitted, "but inside, I was slipping." So she stepped back, not out of defeat, but to save herself. To a young actress who asked how to survive in the industry, she said, "The applause fades, The work, that's what saves you. Behind the glamour of the First Wives Club, the laughter, the champagne, the fame, were two women quietly saving each other. Goldie later said, "Diane made me feel safe being human." Diane replied, "She taught me how to breathe again." Their friendship became sacred, a bond built on laughter, honesty, and healing. Yet Diane's greatest masterpiece wasn't in film. It was her family. In 1996, she adopted her daughter, Dexter, and 5 years later, her son, Duke. "They saved me," she said. Their home in Los Angeles was imperfect but alive. Burnt toast in the mornings, movie nights tangled in blankets, mirror notes that read, "You're doing great." "She didn't just raise us," Dexter said. "She rebuilt herself through us." In her final months, after wildfires damaged her home, Diane retreated to Palm Springs, her cathedral of light. Each morning, she walked barefoot with her camera, chasing small miracles, sunlight, shadows, and sky. When she passed on October 11, 2025, the world fell silent. Yet, even now, her laughter still drifts on the wind. To the world, Dianne Keaton's death marked the end of Hollywood's golden heartbeat. To her family, it was the loss of their center. To her friends, it was the vanishing of the one soul who could make silence feel holy. But even in death, she defied disappearance. Her spirit lingers, in the camera by the window, in the scent of cedar and perfume, in the laughter she left behind. Some lights go out. Hers did not. It simply learned to burn differently, softer, deeper, eternal. Diane didn't conquer Hollywood by fitting in. She conquered it by daring not to. In a world obsessed with flawlessness, she made imperfection radiant. In an industry built on illusion, she turned authenticity into art. Her laughter was rebellion. Her silence was prayer. Her life was permission. To age without apology. To falter without shame. To love without perfection. "I never tried to be different," she once said. "I just didn't know how to be like everyone else." That was her quiet defiance, the truth she carried through decades of illusion. Her influence reached far beyond the screen. To her peers, she was a compass, reminding them that fame without integrity is just noise. To her fans, she was permission, to be real, to live, to forgive themselves. Her films didn't just entertain, they healed. Annie Hall taught us that endings don't erase beauty. Something's Gotta Give reminded us that love doesn't belong only to youth, but to those brave enough to still believe. Off-screen, she was even more extraordinary. She didn't demand space. She expanded it simply by being. Young actresses said she made them feel seen. Crew members said she remembered their names. Friends said she never left without saying thank you. She didn't chase youth. She made time itself her ally. She didn't hide her quirks. She wore them like medals. And in doing so, she redefined beauty, not as symmetry, but as sincerity. For generations of women told to be smaller, quieter, and easier to love, Dianne Keaton was proof that expanding, laughing, and daring were the only ways to survive. Her legacy isn't carved in marble or measured in awards. It breathes in every person who chooses to live without disguise, to turn fear into art, and to find grace in imperfection. And now, as the world stands still in her absence, perhaps the most fitting tribute is not applause, but silence, the kind she cherished, the kind where truth and reflection live. The lights of Hollywood may have dimmed, but her glow remains soft, resilient, eternal. It lingers in the wind of Palm Springs, in the warmth of her photographs, and in the laughter she shared with Goldie Hawn that still echoes through time. Because some laughter never fades. It lingers, soft and golden, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Dianne Keaton once said, "Art is forgiving the world for breaking your heart." And through her art, she did exactly that, teaching us to laugh, to forgive, and to live bravely. So tonight, don't mourn, celebrate. Laugh for her, love for her, and keep her light alive. If her story touched your heart, leave a like, share her legacy, and subscribe for more timeless tributes to to the legends who made the world brighter. Thanks for watching.